member state for that fact. So here in this video we will be discussing about the history of your US relationship with India. Now first and foremost, when we tell why can US not be an ally to India, or why can't it be an ally to anyone, we will understand that in the end of the video. First and foremost, the trait of an ally is the actions and words both must matter and both must be on the same lines. With respect to USA, the words and actions have not been on the same lines. What do we mean? Now let's say if your actions are one thing and your words are another thing, what do you call it? Let's say that is a fake friendship. What do we mean by that? US, let's say this is a common scenario. Understanding? Whatever we are going to be discussing now, this we will be seeing from US President Richard Nixon to your current President, US President Donald Trump. This is the common trait that we see. In public, they praise India, India's leadership, India's commitment, India's ideals, India's objectives. But in reality, if you see, it is always laced with insults, a favoritism towards the country which is against India, here vis-a-vis, that is your Pakistan. Another thing is, if we also see over the period of years, outright publicly they claim that yes, very good India is, and also the public mediums, podiums, everywhere they try to make sure that yes, India is actually a decorated country because it is a rising country with respect to economy, and also it is no longer just a country in the South Asia, but it is the leader of global South. And that your US, if at all it wants to have a relationship with any country, it is only self-serving interests. And the same thing it shows towards India also. If you see, one of the main things about your USA, it is always self-serving, first thing. And second thing, to quote our External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, US has a history of forgetting its history or overlooking its history. Understanding what that statement means, by the end of the video this will become very clear. Now we stated US President Nixon, when we were speaking about US President Nixon, when he was asked in a public podium what is his view about India, he said when back then, like let's say 16 years ago, when in 1969 the scenario was happening, what does he feel about India? He tells that, I remember recalling the talk with the then Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, and I asked him, what do you think India needs? What do you think India's neighbors needs, and what do you think South Asia needs? For which the then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru said that it is a continuing peace, unstoppable peace for the region of India, for the region of South Asia, and all its neighborhood. And he tells that is the same thing that India needs, and in fact the entire world needs. So this was he claiming how important it was, India's leaderships, India's idea and vision. But the same President Nixon goes on to give such racial slurs. So much so he goes on to call Indian women are the most unattractive. His national security advisor even calls India as a bastards. So much so that if you see their foreign policy, they are not just dealing with strategic calculations, but also their personal hatred towards India and Indians. So this is not diplomacy in any form, but outright racism that we witnessed. From fake friendships to racial slurs to the racism. Now if we see a little bit further, the same country which said, the same US President who said yes, Jawaharlal Nehru's words were important back then, now and even in the future, when your Pakistan, even though your Awami League, your East Pakistan won the majority, Pakistan military did not agree to that, and when they were carrying out mass genocides, murders, rape, assault, humanitarian crisis to the maximum, your US gave a blind eye to all of this. In fact, when India supported in order to reduce the genocide, it was against India. So much so that your US was even wanting to mobilize China in the LAC to pressure India. It also sent its fleet towards Indian Ocean. But again, we were guarded by your Soviet when we signed Indo-Soviet Friendship Treaty. Now, before we move ahead, we have a small announcement from Lexi IAS Academy. If you're someone who is looking to kickstart your UPSC preparation, then look no further, you found the right place with Lexi IAS Academy. One of the main reasons you have to consider Lexi IAS Academy is it maintains its batch size as a strict 40-member per limit, and also there is one-on-one mentorship session. You can also converse with the educators freely at any point of time in the preparation. We also offer offline as well as online courses. For those of you who are working professionals and students, we also offer weekend courses. Alongside this, we offer prelims test series, daily mains answer writing, and interview mock test panel. If you want to see how the classes work, you can schedule a demo class online or offline. Call the number given below or reach out to Lexi IAS Academy website. Alright? Now let's continue with the topic. If you see the truth between India and let's say Pakistan with respect to USA, US always has a tendency to gravitate or levitate towards Pakistan more than India. This is not just the present US president, but this has been throughout the history that we have seen. If you say first and foremost, when Soviet in the period of 1989-1990s period, when it was engaged in Afghanistan with respect to the Mujahideen, your USA was the one which funded the Pakistan in order to make sure they drive out the Soviets. So they were closer towards the Pakistan. And again, with respect to the terrorism, see, we have seen multiple instances where when US used money, funding, etc. for Pakistan to drive out the Soviets from Afghanistan, they used the same aid, funding, etc. to create unrest, terror activity in Jammu and Kashmir. So much so that many US presidents have gone ahead telling that no, Jammu and Kashmir is a disputed territory. We will not agree to the instrument of accession. And they were the one who forced us to bring Jammu and Kashmir issue not just to a bilateral meeting but to a forum where your US was having the major say and was siding with Pakistan. It gave F-16s and billions in aid in order to make sure that it drives out the Soviets. Not up until 9/11, understanding, and especially even during 9/11 they were providing more funds to find out this 9/11 perpetrator, but after this, understanding, after that is during the Obama administration, after 9/11 where he was hiding, Bin Laden was hiding and taking refuge in Pakistan, then the aid was stopped, but again that also resumed in your 2 years, just within 2 years that aid is resumed. And another thing is with respect to USA, despite all this in all public podiums, public mediums, they come visit India, they tell that it is the great thing, everything about India-US relationship. But in reality, you cannot see or trust US as an ally. Why do we tell that? For example, I told you, during the 1971 war, USA was the one who urged China to mobilize forces at LAC. At the same point of time, in the public, it came out and told that if at all, if China was to attack India, US will be the one to protect us. The same ones who told to mobilize forces against us. This is what your USA relationship has been with respect to India. Another thing is you see with respect to nuclear proliferation. The USA very well knew that your Nixon was building the nukes. Still, they gave a blind eye. They gave a blind eye and ignored it for decades until and unless he started selling the nukes for or started giving the technology transfers for your Iran, North Korea, Libya, and even then, your US asked Pakistan to put a hold on AQ segment, just that. So only after 9/11, this was also done to put a hold on your AQ segment. But otherwise, it has always encouraged Pakistan. In between, if you see how its transaction with India is again, it's the same word, transactional. It started using India as a pawn in order to counter your China. Even during your Obama administration, if you see, not a single Quad summit was conducted as in. They wanted to again bring a situation in closer than US to bring closer towards China. When that didn't work out is when they tried to shift the gears. Another thing that your US didn't think, or USA, that is the US didn't think about India to do was have its own foreign policy. This was proved to it, your USA, especially when we carried out Operation Sindhu in the aftermath of Pahalgam terror attack. We did not expect India to go and hit the terror outfits. And second thing, even in here, US shamelessly claimed credit for brokering a ceasefire between Pakistan and India. To the same point of time where Pakistan rallied behind the USA, claiming that yes, he is the one who brought everlasting peace. He is the one who brokered the ceasefire. So much that he claimed it 50 times. And all of the times India has disagreed and it has not been in any way posed a pressure to agree to the false narrative that US and Pakistan are putting, that your US was the one that brokered the ceasefire deal. For which so much so that your Pakistan has rallied to an extent of asking for a Nobel, or nominating Donald Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. Understanding? In reality, if you see what is USA focused more about, it is more focused about serving its own interests rather than anyone. And for that, right now, India is affecting its stance. Why? See, let's take the present scenario at hand. As of now, there is Russia-Ukraine war going, first and foremost. Now, when we take Russia's standpoint, despite your US trying so hard, even after disintegration of USSR, it has not been able to put a clampdown on Russia, because especially under your Vladimir Putin. Even during the Biden administration, they entered into the war with the aim of thinking they will be able to crush or defeat Russia, but that didn't happen. Even during the Biden administration time, they threatened India, telling that if at all you keep continuing buying oil from Russia, there will be repercussions. Now when Donald Trump took over, he claimed that he has all excellent rapport with Russian President Vladimir Putin, etc. But he has not been able to bring the war to an end. So what is their ultimate way of trying to hit or try to put an impact on Russia-Ukraine war? Hit India with tariffs, put additional tariffs. So almost with 50% tariffs. Pakistan almost has just 13% tariff. This was bought under reciprocal tariffs. It claims that India's money, India's purchase of your Russian oil is the reason why it is funding Russia's war. So much so that it has failed to see that your US, it even called Russia and India as a dead economy. And yet it continues to do business with Russia. EU buys a lot of oil from your Russia. Liquefied natural gas, all of these crude oils, it's buying. But yet, it has failed to do anything about that. It tells India is the largest buyer, but it is not India, it is China. And US could not do anything. So it is almost the same story. When a bully is cornered by another bully, it just trying to back down. And the only thing that it is trying to show up its action is on India. So it only uses selective blame and uses the double standards, and so much so that the US is calling this as India purchasing oil is the main reason why it is funding the war of Russia-Ukraine. So much so that it has meddled in India's affairs with respect to our Kashmir issue, with respect to our Citizenship Amendment Act, and they are telling they will be closely monitoring it. It is our sovereignty thing. Why are they being bothered about? First and foremost, it's because, again, selective blame and also out and out self-serving interests. Now, when we come to the present US President Donald Trump, he has two faces. In the public, especially when there was a huge rally, Howdy Modi, and also when India went there, when Trump was brought in here, among so many people, lakhs of people, he lied, telling that yes, we respect India, we love Indians, and then this is what he is trying to show us in the form of reciprocal tariffs, calling India the king of the tariffs. He said that once in a meeting that our Prime Minister Narendra Modi is even more a tough negotiator than him. Yes, definitely he is a tough negotiator, which is why he is not backing down from this ridiculousness. And he is standing a stand. We have been consistent and we have been maintaining our stance. It is they who have been changing their narratives multiple times. So despite all of this, now Now, if you see Donald Trump, he is siding more with Pakistan. Because again, it is said that Pakistan has a possibility of reserves, and which has also got the interest of American companies. Another thing is Rajamunian has been constantly praising USA. Again, your Pakistan's usual game of praising USA in order to nominate it to Nobel Prize. And India doesn't agree with all of these shenanigans. So, this is why India has put in this way. So, in final conclusion, what is USA to India? Yes, it is not an enemy, but at the same point of time, it is not an ally also. It cannot be trusted. If you call someone as your ally or partner, you have to be able to trust them, but US is not one you can trust. So this brings back to the same thing. It is difficult to be USA's enemy, but even more difficult to be USA's friend. So this brings us to the end of the content. If you like our content, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, share it along with friends. Thank you.